All right, everyone, welcome. My name is Brittany Jones. I'm the Elite Program Coordinator here at NCSA. I'm excited to spend some time with you tonight as we take on one of our Video Essentials classes. And tonight we're specifically looking at goalkeepers. Very unique position in the college game because there's so many limited opportunities for them on college rosters, but such a vital part to the game, and any good team has a good goalkeeper. So I do want to give people a moment or two to get into the room. So if you could, in the chat box, tell me your name, tell me your grad year, and tell me where you're joining from tonight, and we will get started here momentarily. And again, my name is Brittany Jones. I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And so if you're unfamiliar with Zoom, you're going to start to see some little red bubbles pop up on the screen. That is the chat box. Jump in there. Give us some insights on who is here. I will say, all of us in the South, we did get snow today in Atlanta, March 16th. Snow flurries. My mom's in Orlando and she was telling me they got hail today, so crazy weather across the South. Awesome. I'm seeing a lot of people from all over the place tonight. Florida, Miami, Ohio, Texas, California, North Carolina, Oregon. Yep, 27 grads, 28 grads, 30 grads. Pennsylvania, Arizona, Massachusetts, Wisconsin. Yeah, and if you're just joining us, this is our soccer video class. We're looking at goalkeepers and essential things we want to see in film tonight. We're just taking a minute here to introduce ourselves in the chat box, make sure everybody gets into the room before we really jump into it tonight. Wonderful. Keep in mind, the chat box is going to be the easiest way to interact with me tonight, just due to the size of the class, right? Feel free to ask questions as we go. We will be using the chat box as we watch some real videos. So we've got an agenda tonight where we're going to look at what do we need to see in highlights, right? Because video is going to be something that expands your reach with college coaches. We want to make sure that we are using film as a way to get in front of more coaches than we can play in front of, right? But having a quality highlight video is important. It's how we can showcase our skill set and how coaches can best see how our skill set fits their recruiting needs, right? And as a goalkeeper, you've got more options than field players because we can definitely use training footage as a way to get in front of coaches, and we're going to look at both of those options tonight. As a reminder, my name is Brittany Jones. I'm the Elite Program Coordinator here at NCSA, so I lead a lot of our webinars and soccer classes, especially for our Elite Program members here. Prior to joining NCSA, I was a college coach for 18 years. So I was very fortunate to work at a lot of different levels. Division One level for 8 years, Division Two level for 5 years, built a program at the junior college level, was there for 5 years, and really only left college coaching because my family and I relocated to Atlanta. And so that's what brings me to NCSA. Very much still involved in coaching, working as a coach educator for US Soccer, so coaching coaches, right? And also doing some scouting and still very much coaching teams. So thank you for spending some time with me here tonight. I hope this class is something that benefits you in this process. There's going to be a lot of information, so please know I am recording it. It will come out to you tomorrow, as well as some additional resources that you can look at afterwards. So know that will come by email tomorrow morning. When we look at class tonight, we are going to be looking at recruiting timelines. It is essential that we understand what college coaches are doing. The more we understand the recruiting timelines, the more we can align our actions with what coaches need to see. We'll talk about the importance of video, right? Video could open the door to conversations that can be truly life-changing. And so we want to make sure that we have a quality video that best showcases our skill set. We are going to do some positional skill breakdown tonight, so we are going to watch some footage of goalkeepers and kind of talk through how I'm evaluating it as a college coach, right? And we're going to look at some training footage, so how you can create footage if you're not able to get game film, okay? And please know, as a college coach, I always preferred to watch goalkeepers train over game film. And that's because we get to see so many more repetitions in training than we do necessarily sometimes in film. So both will serve you well, right? And you do have options for that. There will be a Q&A at the end. We can ask questions about the class tonight, or right, you can ask questions about whatever you have going on in recruiting. I'm here to help tonight. So let's do this. In the chat box, tell me what's the first step in the recruiting process? Yeah, we got a wide variety of answers here. We've got setting up our profile, which is definitely important. We've got researching schools. We've got reaching out to coaches, sending emails, right? Making a highlight video. Yeah, and so realistically, guys, when we think about recruiting, right, the very first stop in the process is we need coaches to evaluate your ability. Okay, and so we need you to be seen, whether in video, whether in person, by coaches. Until they see you play, they cannot say to you, "Hey, Brittany, we're interested in learning more about you," or "Hey, Brittany, we'd like to invite you to join our program," right? Watching players is the first step in the process for college coaches, right? Evaluating players is an essential part for college coaches. It's an essential part for athletes. So if you take nothing else away from this class tonight, please know you have to be evaluated by coaches before they can say, "Yes, we're interested," or "No, we're not." And so video plays a key role in helping you get evaluated. Okay, because coaches are going to want to see you play multiple times, generally before they make a decision on whether or not you're a good fit, right? But recognize that recruiting from a coach perspective, right, is half about your ability. How good are you? What skill sets do you have? And half about what opportunities do I have available in my program? I might be a very good goalkeeper. I might have the skill set or the ability to play in a program. However, if there's already four goalkeepers on the roster, there simply may not be an opportunity for me to join that program. So our skill set has to fit the needs of the coach and of the program, right? So very first thing we need to know is we need coaches to see us play, and your video can help us do that. As we look at recruiting timelines, we are officially in the spring season. Spring season for college coaches, roughly February, March, and April. That is going to be when they're on campus with their teams. So they're balancing training their college teams with their responsibilities of building their roster and recruiting, right? So you will see coaches off campus, you will see coaches at games, you will see coaches inviting players to campus. That continues into the summer, May, June, July, when coaches are focused on camps, focused on recruiting, and focused on preparing for preseason, which for most programs begins in August. Okay, so fall is August, September, October, and part of November. That's the slowest recruiting season. It's when coaches are fully focused on their college teams, right? They're trying to make sure that they're being competitive in their games, right? And they will shift their attention back to recruiting as they get into the winter, right? There is still recruiting that goes on in the fall. There's still athletes on campus. Some coaches are still making phone calls, but it's significantly slower than the rest of the year. Winter is going to be the bigger focus for coaches then. So when they're going to have players leave their program in the transfer portal or graduation, and they're going to start recruiting November, December, and January. And then the cycle begins again. So right now for college coaches, heavy recruiting period, right? So it's important for us as recruits that we're being very proactive. Juniors and seniors, now is the time to begin deepening relationships so that we're having more and more personal conversations. Freshmen and sophomores, now is the time to increase the number of evaluations that we're having by college coaches. The more coaches that see us play, the more opportunities that may come in front of us. And that's what we want. But coaches have to see you play before they ever look to deepen relationships with you. Okay. So it's important that we are being very proactive. Tonight, we are going to be looking at highlight videos, right? And when we look at a highlight video, the ideal is that your highlight video is mostly what we call A-level highlights, meaning that the clips that you put in your film, right, are going to showcase your skill set in a way that coaches can easily evaluate. The reality of creating a highlight film is that getting quality video can be very difficult. And so most highlight videos are going to be a combination of A-level highlights and B-level highlights. And that's okay, right? B-level highlights are still good highlights, but maybe they're not as complete as they could be. They'll showcase one part of your skill set, but maybe not your full skill set, right? And we'll talk through a little bit more of those in detail. But our challenge is as an athlete here, trying to get recruited to college soccer, is to create a highlight video with the best clips that we can get, with the ideal being mostly A-level clips, and the reality being that we're probably going to be some A-level and B-level highlights, and we can still be recruited even with that. We will certainly touch tonight on things to avoid because we want to make sure that our highlight video is that. It is a highlight. It is not going to have things on our film that look bad upon our skill set or showcase us at a moment of weakness. We want to make sure that we're showcasing and putting our best foot forward so that coaches get a good first impression of us. Okay. And recognize that each of you here, although all of you are probably goalkeepers, right? Your highlights are all going to differ based upon your skill set, but also based upon what the coaches are asking of you on your team, right? If I'm a coach and I'm asking my goalkeeper to play out of the back with their feet consistently, they may have a lot more footage of them in build-up phases than your team, who maybe only asked you to ever to play long and directly into the forwards, right? So my highlight might have one thing that yours doesn't, and that's okay. We've got to showcase what we have, right? We've got to use the film that we're able to collect. So as we look at films tonight, I will be asking you guys to rate these things. Now let's do this. What are some of the key qualities that coaches want to see from goalkeepers that we should include in your film? Tell me your thoughts in the chat box. All right, so I'm seeing decision making, I'm seeing composure, playing with your feet, distribution, athleticism, communication, handling, definitely want to see that crosses, agility, positioning, versatility, ball handling, footwork, speed, shot stopping, how you handle pressure, mental strength, recovering from mistakes, definitely. So when we evaluate players, right, regardless of position, there's generally four pillars of the game that we're looking at, right? Number one is going to be the physical dimensions of the game, right? And that's what type of athlete are you? So for goalkeepers, what's your quickness? What's your lateral mobility? What's your power? What's your footwork, right? All of those things. When we're looking at what's your height, what's your vertical leap, what's your range in diving, all of the athletic qualities. Okay, that's the physical component, right? And each of us here is going to have a special physical component. So tell me in the chat box, when you think about that physical pillar, right, what is your strength, right? Is it your pure athleticism from like a diving standpoint? Is it your quick footwork? Is it your hands? Is it your range of yeah, reflexes, good. Speed, diving, tall. Yeah, height. Guys, height is a thing for goalkeepers. That's true. Flexibility, reflexes, reaction time, good. Jumping, good. Yep, reflexes. Okay, so that's going to be one pillar. So if you're telling me what your strength is here, we need to see that in your highlight video. Okay, so these are things that we need to see in there. Okay, and remember, if we're doing jumping or we're diving, we want to see dives to both sides, right? Because that's important too. 1v1s. Okay, good. Then we're going to look at the technical. So what are your technical abilities? So how do you manipulate the ball? So what is your technique on diving? What is your technique on parrying? What is your technique on punching? What is your technique on playing the ball out with your feet or in your different distributions? What's your technique? How do you manipulate the ball? Right? That's going to be something that we want to see. And there's a lot of skills for goalkeepers to technically showcase. Right? That's also why training footage can come and play. So when you think about your strengths from a technical standpoint, what are your strengths? Yep, handling, good. Growing volleys, distribution, good, good. Side volleys. Yep, passing, distribution, smothering, breaking lines of pressure with the ball. Yeah, and so when we're looking at technical, again, it's all about what is our ability to manipulate the ball. Goalkeepers obviously get to use your hands when you're manipulating the ball. You're the only ones that can. All right, so we're going to be looking at your technical ability with your feet and your technical ability with your hands. Then we're going to look at the tactical pillar. This is your decision making, right? So this is what positioning do you take up, right? When do you decide to come out of the goal, right? What angle play do you have? How do you best support your team behind the ball when you're in possession, out of possession? So these are all the decisions that we're looking for. When do you come for crosses, right? When do you come for services off corners? How do you set up the wall and set pieces? All of the decisions that you have to make as a goalkeeper is going to be in that tactical pillar, right? And as a coach, I'm evaluating how does your athleticism, your physical pillar, your technical pillar, and your tactical pillar, the skill sets that I see, how do those fit with my game model and what I want my goalkeeper to do, right? If your skill set fits what I'm looking for, that's the magic moment. That's when we're like, yes, this is a goalkeeper that we want to talk to. The fourth pillar is the psychological pillar. How do you respond to mistakes? How do you lead? How do you communicate? What confidence do you show? How commanding are you in the box? Right? That's the part that can be difficult to see in a highlight video, but is so essential to goalkeepers being successful at the next level. Okay? Because it takes a very specific mindset to be a goalkeeper, and it takes a very specific mindset to be a goalkeeper that's competing at the highest level. So those are going to be the four pillars that we look at. And when we look at the highlights, right, we're going to be looking at defensive moments, right, and attacking moments for you. Not as many transition, right, as you'll see in some of the field players, but there will be some, right? And we will be looking at key skills, right? Some footwork, set angles, right? Your distances between the ball, the goal, right? Each of you is going to have a certain set position where you have your most expansive range from, receiving balls out of the air with different techniques, right? Handling and diving, distribution, right? And athletically. These are things that we're going to want to see in your highlights, right? And we're definitely the things that you told me were your strengths need to be things that we see early in your highlight video, right? Because in the highlight video, we want your best clips in the beginning. And that way they capture the attention of the coach early and they stay to watch longer. The goal for a highlight video, 2 minute minimum, right? I would actually say three is probably ideal. 3 to 5 minutes of you in your best moments of the game. That's going to be our goal. Okay. When we look at A-level highlights, we're looking for those wow saves in any form, whatever that looks like, your best saves. We want to put those in the beginning. That's going to be something that's catching the eye of the coach, right? We're definitely going to want to see those in different ways. So if you have wow saves that are low dives, wow saves that are high dives, wow saves that are tips over the bar, punches on crosses, whatever they are, those are the ones that we want to have in the beginning. Okay. It's also important that we're showcasing our ability to play with our feet and build out of the back when your team is in possession. That is something that we see from goalkeepers at the highest level, and it carries straight through college. Okay. We're then going to want all of your shot stopping, reaction saves, multiple saves in a row, breakaways, diving, different techniques, different angles, different types of shots. Those are going to be things that we also need to see, right? And we're definitely going to want to see your aerial ability. How are you on corner kicks? How are you on receiving crosses from different angles and different sides of the goal? And then finally, your distribution with your feet and with your hands. Those are going to be the A-level highlights. Okay. B-level highlights, right? These are going to be saves that we still showcase your technique. We maybe still showcase your decision making, but it should be what we call a routine save. It's nothing that's stretching us. It's not a wow save. Could be definitely good, important things to see, right? But it's not necessarily something that's going to make the coach go, you know what, this is someone that I think we want to get more information on. It's someone that is going to be a consistent. We expect you to make this save. Okay. Things that we want to avoid, right? Any save where we have an unnecessary rebound or we push the ball out of bounds unnecessarily. Bad technique. So if we're on our knees or we're diving on our stomach, those are things that we want to take out of our clip, right? Those are not necessarily our highlights, right? Yes, we might have kept the ball out of the goal, but we want to showcase our best moments, right? Incorrect technique on handling when we're looking at crosses. So if it's a low cross, right, and we're using the wrong technique or we're not coming to protect ourselves, all of those things are going to be things that we want to see if we can find better footage to replace. Okay, because the reality is we want our highlight video to be mostly A saves, mostly A clips. We can have some B clips. We may only have B clips, and that's okay. We got to do the best with what we have, but we certainly don't want to necessarily have things on our video that showcase us in a poor light. Okay, so let's jump in here. I'm going to switch my screen, and we're going to watch a video, and I'm going to ask you to rate the clips as I stop it. So give me a second to share my screen again. All right. So to make sure I muted this. So all these highlight videos have music on them. I mute them for my own preferences on here. Nice thing about the videos, right? A lot of them have music. I mute them so I can watch easier. It keeps my focus to not have it. The one thing about having music on here is I cannot always hear. We cannot always verbally hear what the goalkeeper is communicating. Also means we can't always hear what's around the camera, which can be good as well. But recognize that sometimes we're not going to be able to evaluate what the communication of the goalkeeper is. That's going to be something that coaches see in person. So obviously, goalkeeper's here. The ball is in front of the goal. Let's go ahead and play this. I'm going to stop it after certain clips, and I'm going to ask you to rate the clip. A level clip, B level clip, leave out clip. Let's see what we got. All right, so first save here. We've got a low dive, collapse dive to the right. Ball stays in front of us. We keep possession to distribute out to the center back. What do we think? A level, B level? Yeah, at best, this one's a B-level clip, right? If I have better clips, I might leave it out, right? But I would say it's a B-level clip. It's a save we expect her to make, right? Good collapse dive. Ball bounces slightly in front of her. Looks like she might have been able to hold it. She gets up, good awareness, easy distribution out to the center back. Team plays from there. So it tells me a couple things. One, her team looks to build from the back, so she's comfortable with the ball in the final third, right? Building forward, right? Two, collapse dive well to that right side. So let's see what she does to the other side. Because remember, we're looking at this film. I'm trying to evaluate as many skills as possible. So I've seen one bowl, I've seen one collapse dive to the right. Now I want to see, can I see it to the left? Can I see extension dives? What else do we have in here? So turnover by her defenders, left-footed shot, low scoop. Now we're bowling to the other way. Plays through the midfield. What do we think? A level? B level? Yeah, B level for sure. We expect her to make that save. Wasn't an overly difficult shot, right? We can see some technique there. We can see her get up quickly. We can see her distribute the other way, right? If we have better clips, this might be one we leave out. But let's see what else is in the video before we make that judgment. We're now looking at a set piece. So now we're looking at a corner kick from the touchline. We can see the corner kick taker, but we can't see the goal. All right, let me go back. Let's watch this again. So when we're filming, if we can, the ideal is that we're able to see the kicker and the goal. So we can see what's the position of the keeper, right? And are they in the right position? So I can see she's central now, ball's coming in, right? Looks like a collapse dive, looks like she lands on her stomach, but we can't really see. So this one's difficult to evaluate, right? Defender gets beat to the near post. She's got her angle covered. Now she puts the ball on the ground to her feet, plays out to the outside back. So we've seen a couple different things here. Another set piece. Doesn't get the initial cross, right? So this one's interesting. So it doesn't get the initial cross. Looks like it's just outside the six. So ball bounces just outside the six. She's come out to cut the angle. She gets a hand to it. All right, what do we think? She does end up smothering it. They do call offside. Yeah, I would agree. If we have better clips, this is one we're probably going to leave out. If we don't have better clips, there's a couple things we can see here. Number one, right? She misjudges the flight of the ball, so she maybe comes out and it gets kind of gets stuck in lucky to be a little bit in between that cross and the first strike on the goal. But her positioning does allow her to make the first save. So at least I can see she's trying to make decisions. That's a correctable thing as a coach. I can correct when she's deciding to come out or what her reading of play is. Right. Two, we can see athletically that does have decent reach and she does have decent height. All right, ball on the ground. She takes her own set piece here. Easy ball out to the outside back. Right-footed. Right, cuts the angle down on a ball coming into the box there. What do we think about that one? That little 1v1 there. So she cuts the angle down here. So this attacker gets around the defender. Bit easy. She's in the 6 yard box, so it's between keeper and her. So she pretty much has to make a decision. Yeah, cuts the angle down, forces the ball out for a corner. What do you think? Yeah, I would call that one an A-level clip, and I would actually put this clip at the beginning of her film. Compared to the other clips that we've seen, this is probably the best one that we've seen. It should be first compared to the other ones. Okay, and remember, all of us are working with whatever video we have, right? So some of our video is going to be A-level clips, some of our video is going to be B-level clips. We've got to make the best of what we've got. And so I would put this one first because of the 5 clips we've seen. This is the best clip we've seen. We've got another corner. This is a better video because now we can see the ball and we can see the goalie and we can see the positioning of all the other players. Far to the far side. She didn't come out for it, which is the right decision. Right, looks like an easy follow-up save, but positioning was decent. Another roll out. Yeah, I'd say that was a B one. B or leave out, depending on what other video we have. All right, ball's on the flank, plays back. All right, so this is first distribution from her team that we've seen. So it's from her defender into her, into the wide forward. Decent distribution there. Right-footed, here it is again. Driven ball. What do we think? Yeah, it's one of the better ones, one of the better things that we've seen. So for one first time strike into the wide forward, it's a manageable height. Yeah, I would also move this one higher up the field. Right, so we've seen collapse right dive, rolls in both directions. We've seen 2 smothers. We've seen one corner kick where she had to challenge for it. We've seen one corner kick where she dealt with the second ball. Right, so we haven't seen all the skills yet. We're about 2 minutes in here. This is a 5 minute film. Let's see what we got. Bouncing ball behind the back line. All right, comes to grab it. This is always an awkward ball, so the decision for the keeper is, can I get there before the oncoming forward? What technique do I use? All right, what do we think? Yeah, decision to come get it is good. I would like to see her catch it higher, so it's out of question. She catches it kind of like this. I'd like to see her a little bit higher up. Right, we at least get off the line. We can see that she's decisive coming forward. She has the ball in hand. Rolling into the midfield now, so we're seeing a lot of rolling. So her team obviously likes to play out of the back. Now we're out of the box. Ball's played back to her. Second time we've seen her team play into her. All right, she played to the left the first time. Playing to the right the second time. So a little building out of the back. We hadn't seen that. 2 short passes. So we're looking at range of distribution here. So we're looking at where do they normally play. So she's rolled a lot to her center backs. We just played into both center backs there. There's another one from the center back. All right, ball played into the center channel, not quite accurate to the center forward. All right, there's another one very similar to what we saw earlier. Same clip, it looks like. So we've had 2 clips in here that have been repeated. The ideal is that we're not repeating clips. Set piece back to the keeper. Now we're playing to the left side of the field. Right, and let's look at that one again because this one looks like it might be a turnover. Let's watch. So she's playing with the white team, so it's not a turnover. She doesn't have a lot of movement in front of her, so that's one thing we're looking for is like, does she identify the players that are moving? She does find it into the wide forward who promptly turns it over. So that's one I would might leave out. If we have better clips of us playing and distributing out of the back, That's one we don't necessarily need to have in our video. Okay, this is one as well. So it's a long clearance, ball behind the back line. Here's a bit of a breakaway. Okay, forward loses control and she's able to smother without having to make a decision on that. So that was positive. Right, and this is an interesting one too. What do we think about this one? So the ball looks like it's played behind these center backs. All right, look at the goalkeepers coming very high to receive it. What do you think on this one? A level, B level, leave out. She does clear it. I don't think it goes to anyone. It goes to the other team. Yeah, at best it's a B. We see decisiveness, we see her ability and mobility coming forward, right? If she has better clips, again, this is one I would leave out, right? If she doesn't have better clips, this at least showcases a couple things that coaches can see, and we look for future better clips, right? Because remember, our goal is we get a video on our profile that to the best that we have, then we improve the video. So the second video should showcase different skill sets or us improving at different skill sets, okay? So if we have better, we leave it out. If we don't, this might be one that we leave in. Here's another corner kick. All the corners we've seen have been from this side. Okay, reactions. Let's look here. Comes out, hits off the defender, catches her off guard. Looks like she turns her back to the field, which is not usually something that we want to see from goalkeepers. She gets nudged. Can't really tell what the keeper's call, what the referee's calling. I think he's calling a foul. That's when I would leave out if we have better options. We don't really want to see the goalkeeper turn their back to the field. That usually means the ball's behind them, and that means that either we've messed up our positioning, right, or we've obviously had bad technique, which could be both in this case. Here's one from the other side. Let's see what happens. It's a set piece. Okay. This looks like the same clip that we saw earlier. So this is another double clip. So this is one that we wouldn't necessarily need to have in our video. Okay. What do we think about that one? What do we think? So this one looks a little bit more of a cluster. Comes out, there's a 1v1 with the defender. She comes out, cuts the angle. Can't really tell where the box is. And my first sight, I thought this was outside the box. Must be in the box. Ends up smothering it. Not the cleanest technique. Yeah, if we can leave this one out, we leave this one out. Let me stop sharing. Let's switch to a different video here. Give me a moment to open this other video. All right. Yep, you gotta let me turn the music off. All right, and let's look at the difference here on this film. I have to showcase this and then I have to expand it. So give me one more second. Boom, boom. All right, so goalkeepers in yellow. Yeah, there's a question in the chat box. Is it better to get a footage from a GoPro behind the goal? It can be, especially if you're doing training footage. The reason we like the camera angles like this is because one, this is how coaches are going to evaluate the game on the touchline. But two, the higher angles that you're seeing in these videos allow us to evaluate the positioning with more accuracy. So the tactical side of the game easier because, right, we're able to see where are the other players, what's their positioning in relation to the ball, the goal, and the goalkeeper. So you could do behind the goal for maybe some training footage or even in front of the goal for training footage. But coaches are going to rarely evaluate goalkeepers from behind the goal. All right, goalkeeper in yellow. This starts with a set piece, so the ball's actually over here. He's already kicked it by the time I started this. All right, so save to the upper 90 at the near post. What do we think? A level, B level? Yeah, A level clip. We see athleticism, we see explosiveness, we see the technique to tip it over the bar. You see his hand actually go up there with like that, right? Let's keep watching here. Little combination play in the center channel. Foot save, another foot save. So double reaction save. What do we think? A level, B level? Yeah, again, we're seeing athleticism. And even though in that second save he's falling backwards, so we don't have our weight forward, right? It's still a great save because he has no time to react, keeps it out of the goal, right? He gets up quickly from the first save to make the second save. So we can see his athleticism here. Now I've got a ball down the center channel, right? Forward plays a 2v1, cuts the angle down, simple scoop. What do we think? A level, B level? Yeah, reads play really well there. So tactically, he read exactly when to take space to go forward and cut the angle down when the ball was played across to the forward. Right? As the ball travels, he's traveling. As he gets closer to shoot, he makes himself big, makes the first save, quickly up on his feet again, right, to be able to pick up the second one. So we've seen three different saves in this first one. We've seen the first high tip, we've seen the double save, and now we've seen a bit of a 1v1, right, from this keeper all within the first 36 seconds. Set piece here, right? Tip in the first one was going to the right. This one's going to the left. Another A level save. Different video angle. We're looking at one film from the ground, right? What do we think about that one? A level, B level. So now we're looking at, he just made that high save, right? This is an angle from the ground. So somebody's filming this probably with a phone. Quick turn from the forward, strike across goal, holds it up quickly to distribute. A level, B level. What do you think? Yeah, this one's borderline A B for me. I mean, for some of the saves that we've seen from this goalkeeper, it's probably a B, right? But it's different. It's different than what we've seen, right? It's a close range shot. He has to have a collapse dive to save it. He holds on to it. They can't really tell the angle of the shooter or the distance of the shooter just because we can't see the markings on the field. But it's a different type of shot. Here's another set piece. This one's a little bit closer than the other two. Let's see what happens. Round the wall, low save, low extension, punched away. What do you think? A level? B level? Yeah, I would call that one an A level. Here's another one. Extension to the opposite side. So we've seen a low extension to both sides of the goal now. Reaction save on that one. Here's a penalty save, right? And penalty saves are interesting, right? Because we don't see a ton of them usually in the game. We might want to have our best penalty saves, one or two penalty saves in here. We don't want to have too many penalty saves in our highlight video unless that's something that you're super good at. If you're super good at penalties, then by all means put them in there. But we don't need to see too many of them because hopefully your team doesn't give up that many. Another set piece save, bit of a rebound in front of the goal. Right, there's our first real service that we've seen, like in the run of play service. Has to make a decision to come for the ball or not. Looks like he receives it just outside the six. What do we think? A level, B level? It's decisive. It's brave to come for. Maybe could be a little bit cleaner technically, but definitely smothers it. Through ball in the center channel. First save, rebound central, not really what we want to see, but he's up quickly to deal with the second one. And now we get into a little distribution. So drop kick, yeah, 20 yards past midfield. So that's pretty good. Could have gotten an assist there if his forward was able to receive it. Right, and this is what we want to see. So we're looking at the drop kick. As a coach, I'm evaluating, well, what's the flight of the ball? How straight is it and direct is it? And then what's the distance of the ball? Like what's his accuracy range? And so you can see, right, his drop kick sets this player off in a 1v1 to goal. And if he's able to bring it down and cut across the defender, it's potentially in a goal scoring opportunity. So what do we think on that distribution? A level, B level? It's the first distribution we've seen from a drop kick. Yeah, this is definitely an A-level distribution, guys. Yeah, but you can see, and one of the reasons I wanted to watch this, we're 2 minutes into this video and we've already seen like 5 to 6 different skill sets, right? And obviously, this player is a very high level player. He's got access to some very decent film, which makes creating that highlight video easier, right? But it's much easier to evaluate this film than it is to evaluate the first film that we saw as a college coach. Right, here's another set piece. We see him change his footwork and his positioning. Right now, we're seeing him throw. All right, different film. We see him backpedal, come across, make himself big, good reaction save. Set piece like a corner. So that's kind of the first corner-esque ball that we've seen. So we're in here at 226. If I was a goalkeeper and this was like corner kicks and crosses were like my strength, I would definitely be putting these in the front of the film. But we're 2.5 minutes in here, and this is a film that we've seen that has multiple skill sets, which is positive. So these are game film. Let me pause this. I'm going to stop it and we'll go back to the presentation for a minute, and then we'll come back out to watch one more film. All right, so give me 1 second. Right. And so the question I get a lot from athletes is, do coaches prefer game film or do they prefer training film? And it really depends upon the goalkeeper. But one of the big things that we want to look for is what kind of video do you have access to, right? So if you've got really good game footage, like that one that we just saw, right, it's going to be easy for us to showcase you in game settings. But if we struggle to get good quality game film, like maybe you play on a team that doesn't give up any shots, right? That's the challenge as a keeper. You are only going to ever display the skills that your team requires of you. So if you have a great defense and your team doesn't get any shots, or you play poor competition and they can't find ways to attack, you're not going to have game footage that showcases your skill set. So we may need to create training footage to better indicate your technical ability, right? And to better indicate what you're capable of doing that we cannot see in games. Okay, and so I wanted to give you a simple training film script that our NCSA coaches have here that they recommend, right? And this will showcase all the different skills that we want to see from coaches, right? And so we want to see balls on the ground, front scoops, front smother or scoops. We want to see waist height basket catches. We want to see balls driven head height with a W, right? These are all things that you can do with a teammate, with a coach in a training session. And if you're already doing training with your goalkeeper coaches, this is something that you can ask them to help you do. Hey, coach, can we go ahead and create a highlight video for me? Right? That way I can use it to start connecting with coaches. Because in reality, coaches who might watch your game film and they come see you play, they're going to watch your warm up. We used to watch more goalkeeper warm ups than we watched in games because we knew they were going to get more repetitions, most likely, in the warm up than they would in the game. So a training film could be a fantastic way to be able to showcase your skill set. Okay. I do have one training film, I think, that we can watch just to give you an idea of how simple it can be. Doesn't need to be overly complicated. We don't have to make it very difficult. Let me switch again. All right, and you can see this is done on a training facility. It could be a high school field, could be wherever you've got. But let's just watch and see what we showcase. All right, so we've got some footwork. We can see the server. We're looking at comfort with the ball under feet, first touch. They're showing different angles of the film, right? So they're on the side now. They're zoomed in here. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It could be from in front of the goal. And that way we can just see the server. We can see the goalkeeper's movement because we are going to be looking at a lot of lateral mobility for goalkeepers in both directions. All right, now we've got giant, bigger poles so that we can see upper body flexibility and mobility as well. Ball served higher. Can see set position. We can see hand shape. So these are going to be things that, right, we can easily replicate at home. Yeah, and there's a good question here. If the total highlight video is about 5 minutes, should training be included? I would create a separate video for training, right? So I would have a game film and then I would have training, right? And you can even update your training every so often. And realistically, guys, like you're going to want to showcase how much you've grown over the 6 month period, right? And so now we're seeing different low dive, no collapse dives here. We're looking at footwork, we're looking at mobility, we're looking at changing directions, right? You can extend this to show more power, right? They slow the video down here, and this is a big no-no for us. We don't want to slow the video down because when you slow the video down, right, it makes me start to question, which one is accurate, which speed is true speed, right? And so we want to keep it simple, but this is a simple one that you could do, right? Being able to connect. I don't have game film, but let me showcase what I'm working on in training and let me showcase these different abilities. Yeah, and again, the total video length that I would say is between 3 to 5 minutes for game film, training footage about 3 to 5 minutes, right? We want to sh make sure we're showcasing different skill sets. If it takes you, right, 3 minutes to get all those clips in, fantastic. If it takes you 5 minutes, fantastic. But realistically, anything beyond 5 minutes, we don't see coaches watch. Anything under 3 minutes, you're not going to showcase enough. And so we prefer you to get to that 5 minute mark. Coaches that want to see more than that are going to ask you for full game film, or they're going to ask you to be evaluated in a different setting. Okay. Now we're seeing a bit more explosiveness. We're seeing higher highlights here. That was me speeding up the film. That wasn't her. Right. So we're seeing some different techniques in a training setting. We're 2.5 minutes in. We've seen low dives. We've seen movement laterally. We're seeing a bit more explosiveness. We're seeing overhand punches and flicks. We're seeing different things here. So we're seeing some different moments here. So these are just things that coaches can go, okay, what's her athleticism? What's her mobility? Let's get an idea here. All right, let me switch back here to our presentation. We're at the part of class now where it's all about you. So tell me in the chat box, what is your next step? What are the clips that you need to get yourself into a better highlight video or a more complete highlight video or a better representation of yourself? Yeah, and you guys could see tonight we had two different films, right? One had really high quality video. One had video and was doing the best they could, but it just wasn't as easy to evaluate. But if that's all we have, that's what we're going to use. It is better to have some footage than no footage, right? Because coaches can't tell you anything until they see some footage. Let's do this in the chat box. I just went ahead and put a one question survey in there. If you could fill that out for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Right? And then I'm here to answer any of your questions that you have. So questions can go in the Q&A section on the webinar bar. Questions can go in the chat box, right? I just put the link for the survey in there too, so please take a look at that. And keep in mind, if you're creating your highlights, right, NCSA will create highlights for you. That's part of your membership, right? Depending upon your membership, you might get 5 if you're an MVP. I think you get 3 if you're an elite. I think you get 2 if you're a champion, right? You can always buy more videos if you want. You can make your own videos, right? But you want to update your film every 6 months or so. Yeah, there's a question in the chat box here about what's a good editing tool. If CapCut is what we're seeing a lot of people use. Obviously, like Apple Video or iMovie is always good options. Veo and Huddle have their own editing thing. So if you're using Veo and Huddle, just edit it on there. It's a little bit easier, but CapCut's one on there. Um, I recommend no music if the video sound is appropriate. If you hear parents talking in the background or it's loud, put music on there. It's better to hear that than it is to hear what the conversation is about. I can always mute it as a coach if I want to. Yeah, and so the question here is like when we're submitting video, right? If you're going to submit to our NCSA team, I'm going to send you instructions on how to do that in my follow-up. But know this, if you're going to submit to our team to create you a highlight, submit all the video that you want in there at one time so that they can go through it and create that highlight for you, right? So they're not going to just take one clip. They're going to make, if you send them 15 clips, they're going to put all those 15 together to make one video, right? The goal is that we have a 3 to 5 minute film. Yeah, link to the survey is back in the chat box for those of you asking me for it. Yeah, as a goalkeeper in my sophomore year who hasn't had a lot of exposure, due to my school's team being on the lower experience side, how will that affect my recruitment and footage? It could definitely affect your recruitment and footage because coaches need to see your film. So do training footage, right? Get your coach out there, do some training footage, right? And then as you go through your season, get the best films that you can, right? Sometimes if your team is poor, that means you're going to get a lot more work as a goalkeeper. So you may have some really good moments out there, right? But coaches are going to be evaluating your ability and your improvement, right? They know you can't control your whole team, but how can we create the best video we can to put you in those key moments? Doesn't matter if it's club highlights or high school highlights. It doesn't matter. The big thing is going to be what's the level of play. If your club team is significantly higher than your high school team, it may make sense to make two films, right? If there's similar components, you can just combine the two films. Club is easier for college coaches because they understand the levels of play a little bit easier, right? You can tell them what leagues you're in and they'll go, okay, I know what level that is. High school can be hit or miss. You can have some fantastic high school teams. You can also have some horrible high school teams. So it's hard sometimes for coaches to judge the level of play. Yeah, our understanding college division levels, that was 1 hour before all of our times are central. I'll send you the recording of that one tomorrow. Yeah, you could do a camera behind the goal to emphasize communication. That's an option for you. Yeah, NCSA will edit your videos for you, right? That is part of your membership. You can also edit on your own. Yeah, and the question is, would coaches like to see every touch video? Depends upon what's in the film. Like, what does it actually look like? Yeah, I think GoPro. So the question is, what if I get a GoPro behind the goal? Any idea on editing tools? I think GoPro One has its own editing tools, but if you upload the file into a Mac and use iMovie, or if you're uploading it into Windows and use their movie maker, you can edit it through there too. For our video team, you can send them full games. So you can send them 2 to 3 full games. They'll go through it and edit it for you and pull out clips for you. Or if you have access to short clips, you can just send them the short clips you want included. Yeah, and the question is, should your profile be complete with video just prior to inviting coaches to games and tournaments? You definitely want to get video on your profile because once you start sharing your profile, that's the first thing coaches look for is video because they want to look and answer the question, does this player make my team better? If the answer is yes, they're going to go and get more information about you. So you definitely want to get film up there as soon as you can. Yeah, and the question is, how do we know that 3 to 5 minutes is what coaches are looking for? That's what we see coaches watching. So when we're looking at the statistics and algorithms, that's what we're seeing the time frame. Coaches who watch more than that are going to generally ask for more film. Like they may ask for games, they may ask for more information. Do you worry about players making deep fake videos? We always worry about players making fake videos. College coaches are worried about players making fake videos. So remember, most coaches are not just going to recruit you on video. They're going to want to verify what you see in your film is in fact how you play. So they're going to evaluate you multiple times in multiple ways. Yeah, 2028 boys playing MLS Next with minimal game footage better, or ECNLR with more game opportunities better. The highest level play possible, right? So MLS Next is the gold standard for boys, right? If we're not getting in game times, then really ECNLR, where we're getting game footage, might be the one to go for. But if you have enough from MLS Next that you can make a highlight from it, like I would use that one because that's going to catch their attention with the league you're playing in. Yeah, a lot of recruiting is done at events like MLS playoffs. Definitely a lot. Good way to capture film. Generally, teams are capturing film with their footage. If you don't have like access to a team camera, like or your team's not filming, I'll send you a link to our how to capture training footage or how to capture footage if your team's not. I'll send you some of those recordings that we have access to. Can you send NCSA clips through Huddle? Yes. Can you send them through Taka? You'll have to call member support on that one. That one's not a platform I'm familiar with. NCSA Huddle clips can link directly to your profile on the edit profile video page. Yeah, does multi-angle of the same play provide coaches with more information on communication and leadership? It can, as long as it's not too complicated. It will show me different angles and it will show me some different things, maybe show me communication I didn't see. So that's okay, as long as it's easy to flow in the run of play. Yeah, do you send a video after an event to coaches who emailed you or who came to a game? I would. Why not? Send a video and ask him, say, hey, coach, thanks for coming to see me play. Want to share my highlight video. Would love to get your thoughts. Yeah, I have a Google Doc with dozens of games and lots of clips and the game links. Do I just send the Google Doc to somebody? I would shorten that down. I would get to your top 2 to 3 games. I would go ahead and let the video team know which team you're on, the white team, number 10, playing as the goalkeeper as a number 10, right? And then that way they can identify you. So make it easy for them to find those clips for you. You'll send that to our video team. I'll send you that information in email. Yeah, what type of camera can I use to record my game footage? I've seen some good game footage on cell phones on a tripod. Vios and huddles, which are posted like on a tripod well above the field, are usually the easiest. But it's really what you have access to is more the question. What kind of video camera do you have access to? I've seen people rent them from their high school, right, to be able to borrow them, right? It's really a matter of what can you get access to. How old is too old for clips in our highlight video? You really want to see clips from within the last 6 to 8 months. Yeah, the question is, do I do a video analysis personally? I certainly have. That's not my role here at NCSA anymore. Our video team will do that. If you want me to look at your film after this, you can email it to me once I send you all that stuff. I'm happy to do that for you. Give you some feedback. Know that when you submit it to our video team, it also gets evaluated. So that's also something that comes your way. All right, everyone. So tomorrow, look for the recording, look for some additional information, reach out with any help. If you're an MVP, jump in a recruiting coach session with your coach. If you're an elite, you have recruiting coach sessions as well, so you can use that to get information on your video. We've got a lot of options here to help you, so please reach out. Always appreciate your time tonight and hope you have a wonderful evening. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of questions on do I prefer recording from behind the goal? I prefer recordings from the sideline because that's how I evaluate keepers, but sometimes it's nice to have that behind the goal. So you can do both, right? That way I can see the movement of the goalkeeper in relation to the goal. I'm just never going to evaluate them from there when I'm watching them play. You could use that as a training footage for sure. All right, everyone, have a good night. Talk to you later.